To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
My dear children, in the earlier chapter now we discussed several things, right? Several basic things related to the lightning. Now here within this part, I told you that we are going to specially discuss about the management of lightning disaster. So here it is given management of lightning hazards. So destruction of buildings by lightning can be avoided by fitting lightning conductors. Lightning conductors should be fitted to the required standards. Now, what do you mean by a lightning conductor, my dear children? I told you that electrical charges or lightning is a type of an electrical discharge. In simple, we can say that lightning means, my dear children, a beam of electricity which is coming from clouds to the earth. So, electricity is going to travel through conductors, especially from metals or through metals. So, by planting a lightning conductor on a certain building, now this conductor is made up with metal. So, instead of traveling towards the concrete and other walls, my dear children, this lightning stroke will tend to travel towards the lightning conductor because the lightning conductor is made up with metal, right? Most of the times we use copper or else brass in making these lightning conductors. So, lightning conductors are planted or they are being fixed on the topmost point of a building. By that way, it can attract, right? It can attract lightning strokes. Then what will happen after the attraction process? It will travel to the, it will definitely travel to the, particular building. No. After, now it's been, when it is going to attract the lightning, my dear children, it's been connected with a special kind of a wire, and the wire is now being grounded. Okay, wire is being grounded. So it's very simple. Now it's going to attract the lightning or the electrical charges, and through that wires and conductors, that heavy amount of electricity is going to be grounded. So the hazard is getting neutralized by the attraction of lightning stroke. The hazard is going to neutralize. The lightning conductor is the one which is going to attract this particular lightning stroke or the electrical charges. Okay. So, lightning conductors, when you are planting lightning conductors should be planted or fixed according to the standards. Otherwise, my dear children, there won't be any use. We won't be able to use it, right? Even though we are going to plant it, if it is not to the standard, then there is no use of planting that thing. Your building will not be saved by the lightning conductor. So the best thing to protect a building from lightning strokes is fixing a lightning conductor to the standards. Okay. So these lightning conductors can attract lightning strokes as they are made up with metals. Then finally, through wires, these lightning strokes or these electrical charges are being grounded. So that's how we can save the building, by using the lightning conductor. Okay, right then. Next one. Some other protective measures from lightning are listed below. So other than planting or other than fixing lightning conductors, These are also some things that we can do in order to get protection from the lightning. So here first given, avoid keeping the house connected to close by trees with metallic wires, metallic cloth lines, and wires used to the trees that are slanted to the houses are some examples for this. So like I said, my dear children, lightning is a type of electrical discharge or movement of electricity. Electricity would like to travel through conductors. So if there are wires, right, if there are certain types of wires, if a certain house is near to these wires, then my dear children, the risk of getting electric shock or risk of getting lightning effect is going to increase. It's because that I told you that these wires are conductors. So there is a greater potential in attracting a lightning stroke towards that wires. So if a house is located near to a wire, right, there is a high risk of having, or there is a high potential of having a lightning stroke. So here it is given like what kind of wires? Metallic cloth lines to hang clothes. Sometimes we use cloth lines now. So these cloth lines are somewhat hazardous. So okay, so if there are cloth lines, then you have to remove these things. It's better to use plastic coverings, or at least if there should be a plastic covering or plastic coating. Those wires are fine. Okay, no problem. Then wires used to the trees that are slanted to the houses. Sometimes you know that when you take a coconut tree, sometimes coconut trees are going to slant here and there. So in order to avoid falling the coconut trees, we use different metallic wires and we tie them. So if your house is located near to this slanted metallic wire, then there is a risk of getting lightning. Okay, there is a risk of getting lightning. So always a house or else a construction should be free from these metallic wires around it. Otherwise, there is a greater potential or greater risk in receiving a lightning stroke. Okay. Then, my dear children, conducting wires in the environment, electricity supply wires, television antenna wires, protective wires, wired fences help to conduct electric current of a lightning from place to a place. Therefore, protective measures should be taken when fixing them. Now, my dear children, the next thing is, always these lightning things are connected with wires and conductors. If you can avoid the contact of wires and conductors with a particular person, or else from a construction, or else from a house, then obviously you can avoid or you can manage these lightning hazards. So here it is given that if there are wires and conductors like electricity supply wires, television antenna wires, protective wires and wired fences, then these are going to help to conduct electric current of lightning from one place to another. So like I said, my dear children, this lightning process is passing electricity from one place to another. So electricity is mainly passing from conductors. So if your house is going to contain these kinds of wires, then at least you need to cover those things. If you take the antenna wire, my dear children, during the time of lightning, you need to remove the antenna wire from the TV or from the television, and you need to place that thing outside. Don't keep it inside the house. Place it outside. Okay, place it outside. Because now you know, sometimes if you take an antenna is going to be like this. This is the structure. This is the body of the antenna, like this. There is a body. Then like this, my dear children, there are two aluminium or any other metal shafts, and this is the tower. This is the pole that we use to fix the antenna, and the wire is coming like this. Now there is a jack, and we need to plug in that jack into the television to observe or to get signals from the antenna. Now let's imagine that a lightning stroke is going to come towards the antenna. So always, my dear children, this lightning stroke is going to come and hit. This lightning stroke is going to come and hit. Like it's going to attract towards the line. Towards this line. Line means actually this particular metallic bar. So that lightning electricity, the electricity which is coming from the lightning is going to come towards the mechanism. Then from that circuit, it is coming towards your television through the conducting wire. So your television is going to be finished. If you connect this thing to the television during this time, then your television is going to be finished. Then you have to remove it. There's no point of using it. Okay. Then not only the television, my dear children, sometimes, right, it may burn out, and sometimes your windows and your house and the walls, they will also going to crack because of the impact. Okay. So this is going to be a terrible situation for a house. So the best thing to do is, when there is a lightning condition, when there is a lightning weather condition, best thing to do is, if you are using a wired antenna like this, make sure to remove that thing from the television and keep that wire outside of your house. Okay. Right then. So I'll erase this thing. Let's go for the next point. Then here, protective wires and wired fences. If there are protective wires and wired fences, so we should never go near those things. Okay. And if the houses are somewhat closer to those things, then it would be somewhat dangerous. Because, my dear children, as these things are metals, these things can attract the lightning or the electrical discharge which is coming from the lightning. So if these fences are somewhat near to your houses, then it would be a risk. Okay. So when fixing these things, my dear children, we have to take protective measures in order to save our house or in order to save ourselves. You have to remember it. Okay. Right. Now, within these figures, my dear children, you can observe what? These are the ones which are referred as lightning conductors. Lightning conductors. So see, it's very easy to observe this lightning conductor within a certain building, my dear children. At the tallest point of the certain building, you can observe the lightning conductor. So as you can see here, it has pointed tips like this. So when there is lightning, when a lightning is going to come, these can attract. These points can attract the electricity or the lightning stroke, as these things are made up with metal. So the lightning strokes, the electricity discharge from these places and come towards the wire. Then the wire, this wire, my dear children, is being grounded. So the electrical charges which are coming towards the lightning conductor will travel towards the wire and finally it will come to the earth. So the building would be saved. Okay, the building will be saved. So this is a real picture. This is a real picture of a lightning conductor. As you can see here, right, it's very simple. It's like a metallic rod. It's like a metallic rod which is connected with pointed shaft. Then it is connected to a wire which run along the surface of the building and being grounded at the other point. Okay, like this. So what will happen? Upon receiving a lightning, it will travel along this wired line and will come to the earth. So the building will be saved, my dear children. Okay. So here it is given a building fitted with a lightning conductor. Now the lightning conductor is going to save the building. Even we can use this thing for the houses as well. But however, if houses are built up at a certain elevated point or at a like at a top of a mountain, sometimes that houses are made at top of mountains, right, near high elevated places. So in that cases, my dear children, most of the times lightning conductors are being fixed. Okay, so these lightning conductors attract lightning strokes and they are going to safely travel or pass these lightning strokes towards the earth. So my dear children, then this is the use of this is the use of what? This is the use of a lightning conductor, right? So this is the use of lightning conductor. Lightning conductors can attract lightning strokes and safely these lightning strokes can be grounded like this according to the given figures. Okay, right. So the next point, it is appropriate to follow the measures indicated below when a lightning weather condition is forecast. Now you know that sometimes a weather condition is going to forecast with lightning effect. So in that case, my dear children, we need to follow several precautions. So by following these precautions, we can protect ourselves from the lightning hazards, and also not ourselves but the properties as well, right? So it's important to follow up these things. It's important to follow up these precautions when there is a lightning forecast. Okay, so let's head on to see what are these things. Number one given, keeping the electrical appliances disconnected from the circuits. So like I said, my dear children, these electrical chargers are always finding some kind of a conductor to travel. So if there are conductors, right, if there are conductors, then lightning strokes or the lightning will travel quite fast and easier. So the first and foremost thing to do is disconnect all the plugs and remove them from the plug tops. You have to remove them from the plug tops. Otherwise, the particular instrument will get definitely destroyed because of extreme electricity. Okay, so the best thing to do in order to protect your stuff or in order to protect your instruments, best thing to do is remove all of these things, remove all of these plugs, right? Remove the plug and don't keep it within the plug base. Sometimes you turn off the switch, but you don't remove the plug. It's not going to help. Disconnecting a switch is not going to help. You have to remove the plug from the plug base in order to save the instrument. So it's really important to remove that plug point. Remove that plug from the plug point, my dear children. It's because that when you take household electricity, our household electricity has two different lines which is called as the live wire and the neutral wire. Normally, by turning off the switch, we are disconnecting only the live wire. Still the neutral wire is getting connected with the household electric circuit. So from neutral wire, my dear children, okay, from neutral wire, the lightning will come, or the lightning, electrical charges given out by the lightning will come, okay, through the neutral wire. So by disconnecting only the switch, we are disconnecting only one single line of it. But however, in domestic electric circuits, there are two different lines. So therefore, my dear children, it's really important to remove the plug. Okay, remove the plug and disconnect the plug. Okay, disconnect the plug and you have to remove it in order to save the instrument. Otherwise, your instrument will be destroyed for sure. Okay, then the next one. Keeping the disconnected plug of television antenna out of the house near the ground. So I told you this thing. It's wise to remove. Actually, it's not wise. We have to. It's very important to remove that antenna wire from the television, and you have to keep outside the house. It's better if you can keep it near the ground. So if a lightning stroke is going to come through the antenna, then my dear children, automatically it will get grounded and your house and all the other electrical equipments will get saved. So therefore, it's important to remove that. It's very important to remove that antenna wire and keep your antenna wire outside the house. If possible, then you can keep it near the ground. Okay, so this is a very important thing. If you keep the antenna plugged on with the television when there is lightning, then my dear children, your television is going to be wasted. Not the television, but you are putting the whole house in danger. Okay, so remember to remove, make sure to remove that antenna wire and keep that thing outside. Okay, at least outside. It is better to keep it near the ground, but at outside, or not inside the house. Then the next one. Refraining from using and touching metal equipments. Once again, my dear children, we are coming into conductors. Right? Metals are good conductors of electricity. So we need to avoid touching metallic equipments and metallic materials during the lightning. If can, wear a good pair of slippers. Right? If you can, wear a good pair of slippers also. Then it is good. Then next one. Refraining from using telephones. So here telephones and mobile phones are two different things. Telephones and mobile phones. Mobiles and telephones. Mobiles and telephones are two different things, my dear children. Here telephones are the ones which are being wired. Okay? Telephones are the ones which are being wired. So, you know that telephones are being wired. These are the normal household ones. Landlines. In normal words, we say these things as landlines. So, these telephones are landlines, my dear children. Okay. So, landlines are powered by copper cables. So, these cables means, my dear children, those things are conductors. So, we have to refrain from using telephones during lightning. Then I am going to ask you a question. When you take a mobile, right? When you take a mobile phone, is it going to be, or now imagine that I am using my mobile phone during lightning. or when there is lightning outside, I'm going to use my mobile phone. I'm going to make a call by using my mobile phone, not the telephone, okay? I'm going to use my mobile phone and I'm going to make a call, or else I'm using internet. Now I'm going to ask you a question. As I'm using the mobile phone during the time period of lightning, will I be in danger of getting a lightning stroke? Am I in danger in getting a lightning stroke? What can you say? Is there a potential risk of getting a lightning stroke when I'm using my mobile phone? Now, this is a very good question. So let me explain once again, my dear children, the process of lightning. So if we come to the root of lightning, lightning is occurring because of electrical charges. Electrical charges mainly travel through conductors. Obvious things, no? Electrical charges mainly travel through conductors. As you can see here, in each of these cases, you can observe, see, television antenna, okay, electrical appliances, then metal equipments, telephones, wired telephones. As you can see, in each of these instances, my dear children, you can see or you can observe a metallic object. In simple, we can say that a conductor. So in each of these incidents or in each of these occasions, my dear children, we are using a conductor, right? We can observe a conductor. Why is that? It's because, my dear children, it's very obvious to us. Lightning is an electric discharge. So lightning is traveling only through conductors. Mobile phone is not a conductor. If you take a mobile phone, it is not a conductor. There are some types of mobile phones that are made up with metallic bodies. Those things can be considered as conductors, my dear children. But however, most of the mobile phones in nowadays are made up with plastic bodies or else glass bodies. So these things are not conductors. If mobile phones are not conductors, then, my dear children, there is no potential or there is no risk. It is 100% risk free. Using a mobile phone is 100% risk free of getting lightning stroke. Lightning strokes are not getting attracted to a mobile phone at all. How come? Right? You won't get electrocuted or you won't get lightning strokes when you are using mobile phones. Using a mobile phone and getting electrocuted or getting lightning stroke are two different scenarios. There's no link in between these two incidents. But however, there are some certain cases that you might have heard. When using mobile phone, a person has died because of a lightning stroke. So what is the relationship between those incidents then? If you are using wired headsets to listen music, if you are using your mobile phone charger, or if you are using a data cable to plug into a different device, in that case, my dear children, there is a risk of getting lightning. Why is that? Because you are using conductors. That speakers, the wires, conductors. Those cables, those things are conductors made up with metals. Right? And if you are going to plug your mobile phone into a household electric circuit by using the charger, then definitely you are going to be shocked, right? you are going to receive the electric shock of the lightning. It's because, my dear children, those things are conductors. Conductors can carry electricity. But however, if you are using a mobile phone like this at your house, you're using your mobile phone like this at your house during a lightning condition, right? There's no problem in it. You won't be receiving lightning or you won't be electrocuted for sure. I can guarantee with that, but because that's how the science is going to work, right? Mobile phones can't attract lightning unless it is made up with metals. If it is made up with metals, then, my dear children, there is a risk. However, mobile phones can't attract lightning. So, usage of a mobile phone during lightning process is not going to harm you at all. But however, you need to be at your home. That's important, no? Right? If you are at an open place, then sometimes you may get lightning. It's not because of the mobile phone, but you are at the outside in an open place. Okay? So always try to remove conductors, my dear children. That's the way of managing these hazards. Okay? That's the best way to manage these hazards. Okay? Always try to remove the conductors around you. Always try to remove the metallic parts around you. That is how to be safe from these lightning effect. Right then. So, things that should be done before a lightning weather condition. Now, those things, we discussed earlier things. When there is a lightning forecast, what are the things that you can follow? Now, here it is given things that should be done before a lightning weather condition. Before there are going to be a lightning weather condition, what are the things that you need to do? Number one, going into a building or into a vehicle to minimize the exposure to the environment. My dear children, the best place to be safe from lightning is inside a car. Right? Within a car, you will not be able to get electrocuted or you will not be able to get lightning strokes. Inside a car is the best place to be safe from a lightning stroke because it is going to behave as a Faraday cage. So a vehicle is going to behave like a Faraday cage. A Faraday cage is a simple example, or we can say that a Faraday cage is like a thing that can repel electrical charges. Okay, so vehicle is like that, but it should be inside the vehicle, okay, not the outside, but you should be inside the vehicle. Inside a vehicle, my dear children, especially a car or a van or any kind of a any kind of vehicle like that. It should be a four-wheel vehicle, right? So inside of a vehicle, that should be the best place to be safe from a lightning stroke because it's going to behave as a Faraday cage. Okay, in simple, a Faraday cage means it's kind of an instrument that can repel, okay, that can avoid or that can repel electrical charges. Okay, that's what do you mean by a Faraday cage in simple. So a closed vehicle is going to behave like a Faraday cage. So it helps to repel all the electrical charges, right? Then going into a building is also okay, my dear children. But it should be a closed building. Going into a closed building is also okay. But the best place is inside a car. Inside a car or inside a vehicle, okay? Right. Going to a place of security, if the time interval between sight and the sound of the lightning thunder is less than 15 seconds. So, if the time interval between the sight and the sound of lightning thunder is less than 15 seconds, then best thing to do is going into a place of security because it's going to be very dangerous at that time. Okay. It's going to be a very dangerous at that time. If you are observing, right, lightning thunder less than 15 seconds, right? If you are observing this lightning thunder less than 15 seconds, right, then it's wise to go for a secure place, right? So these are the methods, or these are the precautions that we need to follow before a lightning weather condition. Okay, right then things to avoid during a lightning weather conditions. Now let's imagine that now there is a lightning weather condition. So if there is a lightning weather condition outside, what are the things that you should not do in order to be safe? So these are within here, you are given with the things that you shouldn't do when there is a lightning condition. So here, first thing given, avoid being in open places. If there is no time to go to a place of security, keep your legs close to each other and crouch to the ground. So my dear children, most of the times if there is a lightning condition, most of the times, right, the best thing to do is go for a shelter. Shelter means actually don't go under a tree. Try to go to a certain building or to a certain house, a closed area. That's the best thing to do during a lightning condition. Okay, but however, if you don't have that much of time, then the best thing to do is just keep your foot closer to just keep your feet closer to each other and crouch on the ground. Okay, try to keep your legs as much as closer to each other, right? Then crouch on the ground. That's the best thing to do. If you don't have time, don't run like here and there when there is lightning. Okay, then the next one, refraining of being near tall trees and elevated places. So I told you that don't go underneath tall trees. Don't go to elevated places, because as we discussed in the earlier, right, the distance between the cloud or distance between the lightning stroke and the earth is shortest when you are at a taller places. Okay, so there is a high potential in receiving lightning stroke when you are at elevated places. Okay, my dear children. Then the next one, refraining from riding or driving open vehicles like cycles and tractors. The next thing is, I told you that the best option to be safe from lightning stroke is a closed vehicle. Open vehicles are terrible, right? So therefore, it's very important to not to use these open vehicles when there is lightning. Examples are tractors and bicycles. Okay, tractors and bicycles, those things are not good to use during lightning, right? Then the next one, refraining from swimming, canoeing and walking on wet places. So it's obvious, right? I told you that these water, or when there is raining, water or the rainwater, that is going to behave as a conductor. So if there is water, there is a risk of getting electrocuted, or there is a risk of getting electric shock or lightning shocks, right? Because water can be considered as a conductor for the lightning, okay, for the electrical charges. As there are a large amount of electrical charges, even through water, these electrical charges could travel, okay, right there. So these are the things that we shouldn't do during a lightning weather condition. all lightning hazards are not fatal, right? So here within the topic, now we are going to discuss, my dear children, measures to be taken in connection with a person subjected to lightning hazard. Now let's imagine that if a certain person has got electrocuted because of lightning, okay, if a certain person is there, what are the things that we can, or what are the measures that we can take in order to save the life? Okay, so here it is given, all lightning hazards are not fatal. So all the lightning hazards are not that much fatal. Sometimes I think you also might have certain experiences in getting electrocuted by lightning. So all the lightning effects or lightning processes are not that much fatal. Okay, there are some fatal incidents as well, but however, all are not that much fatal. First aid should be given to a person subjected to such threat. So if a certain person has been subjected to a certain threat, then my dear children, first of all, we need to provide first aids. Okay, we need to provide first aids. So here it is given, if the limbs of the victim are numbed or stiffed, massaging can be done to recover. Now upon having lightning stroke, if the limbs are stiffed or numbed, then my dear children, we can massage them to recover. By massaging, we can recover these things, okay, especially limbs. Then the next one, if breathing is stopped, artificial breathing should be given. Both massaging and artificial breathing have to be given according to the nature of the harm. Giving first aid should be continued till breathing starts. So next one is, now because of the shock, sometimes the heart will stop. Now in that case, my dear children, we have to give artificial, right? We have to give artificial breathing, and also, like we can push the heart, okay, in order to restart it. So we have to provide this thing until he is going to breathe, until he is going to work. Okay, so these first aids are really important in order to save a life. Then the next one, it is not dangerous to touch a person subjected to a lightning hazard. So sometimes you might think that touching a certain person who is electrocuted due to a lightning stroke is going to harm you. But however, it's not going to happen at all, right? It's not going to happen at all. It's not going to be a problem in touching a person who is already electrocuted with a electric shock or with a lightning stroke. So it's not going to be a problem. So try to massage that particular person. If the heart, or if he is not breathing, try to start the heart by giving artificial breathing and pushing the heart for the rhythm, right? So try to do this kind of things. It will help to save a life. Okay, it will help to save a life, my dear children. So these are the things that we need to do in order to save a person, right? So these are the measures that we can take if a certain person is going to connect with or if a certain person is subjected to a lightning hazard. Okay, by doing these things, you can save that particular person. Remember, all lightning hazards are not that much fatal, but there can be some fatal ones as well. Okay, right then. So my dear children, we discussed several things related to droughts, related to lightning, then landslides and flood. So you are given with an activity here. What is the activity? Construct a wallpaper containing information on natural disasters that affect Sri Lanka. Pay your attention to the following points. Now, first of all, you need to collect information and construct a wallpaper containing these information on natural disasters. Okay, but these natural disasters which are going to affect Sri Lanka. So within this lesson part, we have discussed 4 of those cases, right? We have discussed 4 of those cases. We discussed about floods, landslides, droughts, and lightning hazards. So like that, if you take cyclones, that is also a type of a natural disaster faced by Sri Lanka. Then tsunami waves, right? That is also a type of a natural disaster, right? Not that much more often, but however, it can happen. Okay, cyclones are somewhat often. Cyclones are somewhat, right, often to Sri Lanka. Okay, so these things, these 5 natural disasters are somewhat, familiar with Sri Lanka. So what you have to do is, you have to prepare, right? You have to prepare a table or else a paper, a newspaper like thing, or else a magazine like thing, right? Regarding these natural disasters that are faced by Sri Lanka, right? Then when you are preparing this thing, my dear children, you have to follow up these key points. What are those? Causes for the natural disaster. What are the causes? What are the reasons for the natural disaster? Right? What is the main reason behind the natural disaster? And what are the other reasons of the natural disaster? Are there any human activities behind the natural disaster? So like that, you have to find out the reasons. Okay? Even here, when we are discussing these 4, we discussed about several reasons. Right? So we have to find out the reasons. You have to find out the reasons, my dear children. Then the next one, harms caused by the disasters. Right? For each and every natural disaster, there are several harms. So you have to find out these harms, my dear children, within the next one. Okay? Within the next key point, you have to find out the harms created because of these natural disasters. Okay? Then finally, measures that you can take to minimize the harm. So what are the measures? What are the things that we can follow up in order to minimize the harms? If you want to minimize the harms, what are the things that we can follow? Or what are the mitigation ways that we can follow in order to manage the hazard? Right? So in each and every case that we discussed over here, we discussed those things. Okay? So try to find out even more details about these ways. Right? Don't rely on these information, my dear children. Don't rely on only with these landslides and other cases. Try to find out even more natural disasters like cyclones and tsunamis, right? And try to find out other details regarding to these natural disasters. Okay, so I'll hope that you carry out this activity at your home, right? It's very important to carry out this activity at your home, my dear children. Okay, right then. So with that part, my dear children, I'm going to finish up the chapter. Then in our next chapter, we'll be discussing about the same activity, but however, we'll be focusing on the 4 main natural disasters that we discussed on this particular lesson part. So we'll be discussing a short description on these 4 natural disasters. Then finally, we are going to finish up with the lesson in the next chapter to discuss several questions. Okay, right then. So I'll hope you to meet with our next chapter to discuss about the summary related to the lesson part and to discuss about the questions.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.